consciousness that somehow makes value possible, experiencing some things as good or as bad or as meaningful. Somehow comes from within consciousness.
So you think consciousness is a crucial component, ingredient of assigning value to things?
I mean, it's kind of a fairly strong intuition that without consciousness, there wouldn't really be any value. If we just had a universe of unconscious creatures, would anything be better or worse than anything else? Certainly when it comes to ethical dilemmas, you know about the old trolley problem. Do you kill one person or do you switch to the other track to kill five? Well, I've got a variant on this, the zombie trolley problem, where there's one conscious being on one track and five humanoid zombies. Let's make them robots.
Yeah.
Who are not conscious on the other track. Do you, given that choice, do you kill the one conscious being or the five unconscious robots? Most people have a fairly clear intuition here.
Yeah.
Kill the unconscious beings because they don't have a meaningful life. They're not really persons, conscious beings.
Of course,
at all.
We don't have good intuition about something like an unconscious being. So in philosophical terms, what you referred to as a zombie, it's a useful thought experiment, construction in philosophical terms, but we don't yet have them. So that's kind of what we may be able to create with robots. And I don't necessarily know what that even means.
Yeah, they're merely hypothetical. For now, they're just a thought experiment. They may never be possible. I mean, the extreme case of a zombie is a being which is physically, functionally, behaviorally identical to me, but not conscious. That's I don't think that could ever be built in this universe. The question is just, does that hypothetically make sense? That's kind of a useful contrast class to raise questions like, why aren't we zombies? How does it come about that we're conscious? And we're not like that. But there are less extreme versions of this, like robots, which are maybe not physically identical to us, maybe not even functionally identical to us. Maybe they've got a different architecture, but they can do a lot of sophisticated things, maybe carry on a conversation, but they're not conscious. And that's not so far out. We've got simple computer systems, at least tending in that direction now, and presumably this is going to get more and more sophisticated over years to come, where we may have some it's at least quite straightforward to conceive of some pretty sophisticated robot systems that can use language and be fairly high functioning without consciousness at all. Then I stipulate that. I mean, of course, there's this tricky question of how you would know whether they're conscious. But let's say we've somehow solved that and we know that these high functioning robots aren't conscious. Then the question is, do they have moral status? Does it matter how we treat them?
What does moral status mean? Sorry.
Basically, it's that question. Can they suffer? Does it matter how we treat them? For example, if I mistreat this cup by shattering it, then that's bad. Why is it bad though? It's going to make a mess. It's going to be annoying for me and my partner, and so on. It's not bad for the cup. No one would say the cup itself has moral status. Hey, you hurt the cup. And that's doing it a moral harm. Likewise, plants. Well, again, if they're not conscious, most people think by uprooting a plant, you're not harming it. But if a being is conscious, on the other hand, then you are harming it. So Siri, or I dare not say the name of Alexa. Anyway, so we don't think we're morally harming Alexa by turning her off or disconnecting her or even destroying her, whether it's the system or the underlying software system, because we don't really think she's conscious. On the other hand, you move to like the disembodied being in the movie Her, Samantha. I guess she was kind of presented as conscious, and then if you destroyed her, you'd certainly be committing a serious harm. So I think our strong sense is if a being is conscious and can undergo subjective experiences, then it matters morally how we treat them. So if a robot is conscious, it matters. But if a robot is not conscious, then they're basically just meat or a machine, and it doesn't matter. So I think at least maybe how we think about this stuff is fundamentally wrong, but I think a a lot of people who think about this stuff seriously, including people who think about, say, the moral treatment of animals and so on, come to the view that consciousness is ultimately kind of the line between systems where we have to take them into account in thinking morally about how we act, and systems for which we don't.